likes, but a lot of you have been passerbyers. So please feel free to hit the like button on any channel. I believe everybody's dual streaming as well. So feel free to go to any one of the channels and send some love around in any direction. SB with the Big Ten. I made a roast chicken, pastrami, pesto, rocket, and basil with pepper wrap for this show with hot dressing, red onions, and baby tomatoes. I said I'd send before. Here's for now. See how this goes. Bless. Thank you, SB, and enjoy all of that lovely food. It sounds delicious, and now I'm hungry. Evan Lord with the Big Ten. Silly drunk Irishman. The word you're looking for is fascism, not Yazidism. If you mix socialism and nationalism, it's Strasserism. America is not far right or is a third positionist state. Appreciate you. Any thoughts from anyone?
Yeah, hitting the like button has been shown to reduce the chances of getting breast cancer and erectile dysfunction. Hit the like button.
I'll take that as a
Yeah.
win.
I think Evan Lord made a good point, actually. And
Yeah.
that was part of the issue with the prompt, is that it was provocative and vibish, but not accurate.
I am
Is that what you
agreeable
think?
to that. I'm agreeable to the prompt. It wasn't. I mean, everything you pull up for that is. Yeah. Anyways, we went down that path already. Speakeasy with a big 20 dropped by to leave a like, win Teriak and cleaner salute. Be nice about Flow State's blue eyes. One blue left, one blue right. And the shots are being fired back.
Says the black man.
I do like that one. Fair enough. Harry Ludwig with the big 5. Canada per capita allows the most immigrants of any country. That actually makes sense why they're having so many issues. Josh says, do Cleaner and Teriak even have the same position? I was questioning that for quite some time, actually, as well. So it kind of seemed a little misdirection there. But BB with a big 10, just to say tomato. Hello to you. Somewhere in time, sending a bunch of love. I think that might be on Flo's side, maybe.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know. It doesn't tell me whose side it's on, except that it's not mine.
That's
BB
me.
says, Teriak as a baseline, how would you define Ireland from West Clare to Dublin in this debate? Teriak, you taking a shit? Teriak! All right, we'll come back to it. SB says, the reason I support the right is they hold their own to account and stop pegging furries in front of hundreds of children and think that's normal. Fair, shots fired and received. Thank you. Harry Ludwig sending 5 Raging Tomato memberships. Shout out to Harry. Joseph says, is Cleaner's camera below him or is his neck stuck in the upward position? Asking for a friend. Great job, Sarah, on the Andrew Marathon last weekend. Cleaner? Is your neck
I
stuck
don't
in the
know.
upward position?
It's the POV view.
No.
I love how like
No.
the super chats are barely even touching on the topic. Just-
Well, yeah. To be fair, I understand why most of them aren't. And personally, if I had to say in what the prompt was ahead of time, not like tonight, like right before we're doing it, because I've researched everything in reference to how we had the prompt.
So
Right.
it's Teriak's fault.
No, I'm not saying it's Teriak's fault at all. I'm saying I would probably try to rephrase it a little bit and say if we're not already socialist, we're moving towards our national socialist. We're moving. It appears that we're moving towards it, right? That would be my prompt. Would be like, you know. So I mean, I understand why they don't want to. They don't really want to speak to what we're talking about in the prompt because it is a very hard line to draw in the sand to say we are this thing. But I will admit, like when I looked at it, when I saw the prompt, and then I looked through the points, I was like, "Fuck, man!" That like when you actually look at the philosophy that's pushed behind it, we're pretty close, man. I mean, we
If you
really are.
interpret into
We
it,
gotta fucking end this shit. We gotta kill it. We cannot let this shit happen.
you have to speculate into it or interpret it out of it, right? It's obvious. It's certainly not obviously the same thing, or even really all that comparable. But
Well-
if you squint your eyes and look hard enough at the blacklight poster, you can maybe then try to see something that sort of resembles it.
Yeah, it's fair to say about a couple of them, you'd probably have to do that, right? But some of them are like clear and very exactly what we're fucking doing, like the whole, freedom of religion shit, and the fact that National Socialists would support like the feminist ideology, the ecocentric ideologies, like things like
I
this.
don't
That's
know why
literally
you
what
think
we
that.
were doing here in like what I mean, like we're
I don't think
embracing a
that
lot
we're.
of these ideologies, and we need to get rid of this shit. It's gonna destroy us.
Fair enough. Mad Mapper sends a big 10. Mater Juice Fund. Thank you so kindly. I wish I had a lot of beverages this evening in my household. A BB says, okay, in 2025, America is National Socialist. Yes or no?
No.
Yes.
That was actually to what you were saying, Cleaner. I had
Mhm.
actually messaged Sarah saying maybe we should change it to America's heading to. And of course,
Right.
that's why my opening was I stuck to the is.
Right. And
Yeah.
well, and to be fair, we didn't change it ahead of time. I didn't want to I don't like to change a prompt when people are expecting us to debate something and then we come in and change it on a moment's notice. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
like to
no.
do that to
I
people. So,
recommended that
you know,
days ago.
but I mean I agree that like going towards that prompt would probably be a stronger area for us to be able to argue from.
I agree.
But I steel man
No.
this as best I could.
The reason why I chose it like this, and like I said, notice like I knew exactly what I was doing with this way, the way I phrased it, where we were going to have to be on the defensive, is because this is an actual theory that I've been building upon. If like anyone's been like watching at my channel, shout out shameless self plug by the way. But like this is like an actual theory. So like when I test the theory, I want the like strongest test against it. So like the strongest test against it is to have a debate where it's like we were on the back foot the whole debate. We have to defend anything we put forward, every claim we have to make. Every song you break, I'll be watching you. Do you know what I mean? So it's like
Right. And a
That was
good
that was
partner
the
helps you
rationale
hold them
behind
to
it.
the points, and that's all I was trying to here to do is just support Teriak in trying to hold you to the points and go through them, and let's see what it is that's actually going on. Is this real? Is this not real? Can you refute this? Can you not? That's why I kept trying to take us back to the points.
Fair enough. John Mosman says, as always, Cleaner is rude. Rude clown. Congrats, Cleaner and Teriak are the worst bad faith debates on YouTube. Oh, shots fired.
But if we're the
Well, I
worst
mean,
bad faith, that means that we're not good at being bad faith, which actually defeats your own argument. Congratulations,
Like,
John.
I'm
Played yourself.
I'm only really rude to people when they're rude to me first. And as always, Mosman being a tier 0 debater, I don't really fucking care what he thinks.
No,
I think
Mosman's only
it's
ribbing with us.
multiple adjectives. I think if there's a comma between worst and then bad faith. it would
So you're
probably-
receptive of
Yeah.
whatever energy people put into you, huh?
Oh,
I take that as ribbing between Mosman. I don't take that as like he's actually fucking taking a shot or whatever. But that's
I
just me.
don't care either way.
fair
Thank you for the big 5, John.
John. BB says, I'm guessing you've never served your nation in protecting sovereignty and that of other countries.
I don't know who that's to. I have not. Nope.
Anyone else?
Has anyone?
Am I the only?
We're all draft dodgers.
No,
I'm
I
the only
know what he's speaking
vet.
to, but I'm not going to talk about.
I'm
my
a veteran of
service.
these YouTube screets.
This is true.
Yeah,
BB
I don't
says,
have the pleasure of serving like you guys, but I am civilian cleared and have done lots of military contract work.
I can't even own a gun, so I shoot baby oil.
it's true. Baby oil for the win. Diddy.
Just got
BB
a water gun
says-
full of Diddy juice.
BB Gun says root cause who, what, when, where, and why. Then y times 3 equals truth.
Your mom, sex, my house, last night
And then y
for the lulz.
3 times.
All 3 times for the lulz.
Fair enough. Plumpy with the gifted tomato membership. Thank you so kindly. John, shots fired again. U.S. has both nationalist and socialist ideologies, but National Socialism is specific. You can't boil it down to generic philosophy. Is bad faith, Cleaner. Jesus,
You know-
did you piss in his Cheerios this morning or what?
He has a thing against me, which I'm fine with. I don't really give a shit. Hopefully that'll spur some 1v1 debates between him if he'll grow a pair of balls. But so
Fuck a debate.
what he
We want to see a
says,
knife fight.
what he says, this nationalist and socialist ideologies, we did say, yeah, it does have nationalist and socialist ideologies that appeal to national socialism. We did say that. I mean, that's like, yeah, national socialism is specific, and the nationalist side and the socialist side that they appeal to are the ones that align with national socialism.
But you
Yeah, I
guys
mean,
do understand that
my
National
opening statement was
Socialism,
Like
the
what
same
he's
thing. Is
saying
that
is
you-
ridiculous, basically.
this isn't a compound word. National Socialism is a specific ideology.
Yeah,
It's
I get that. I understand that.
Okay.
I'm saying the nationalist viewpoints that support it.
I see.
Yes, I get that America is in support of the nationalist viewpoints that support National Socialism. I
I'm not sure
also
you
get
get it.
that they're in support of, well, I mean, the government for sure as fuck seems to be, because they're doing this shit. Whether we agree to it or not, they're fucking doing it, and we need to stop them.
Well, I will say in your defense, Cleaner, against John, and I like John. I was on a panel with him, and we were communicating in idea, but I definitely don't think you're a bad faith debater at all. Matter of fact, I don't even think you would have normally aligned with this. And I love the whole fact that you will actually take the other side and be the devil's advocate and experiment with debate, even if you don't agree with the debate. So
I do got to give
I
him
do
props.
not think
and
that's a bad
for
faith
that.
debater. I think that's a debater trying to like really explore both ends. And as you said, you came into this going, this isn't good. And then you started reading it and you're like, oh, there's some things I would have never thought of. So I would never put you as bad faith on that.
Vibe is a nice guy, but I'm not, and I still think you get props for taking a difficult side and trying your damnedest to carry it through. So
Everyone who loses says that.
I do a lot of devil's advocate stuff, but in this, like I said, I did see that like there is some alignment with what's going
Grift
on. You know,
fallacy.
it's weird. Grift fallacy.
Yes, and shout out to Kissy Cat for the grift fallacy. I want to see in chat all of your different wonky, crazy fallacies. Shoot them out in chat so we can laugh at them as we sit here and do this. Jess Gerald, member for 7 months. Shout out to that. And also with that, he gives the gift that keeps on giving with 20 Raging Tomato memberships. Congratulations to
that's a
all of you.
renewal fallacy. They don't actually keep on giving unless you intentionally renew them.
Fucking Dusty.
The gift is to me. Okay, I get the money and the people get the membership, so it gives a little bit more. All right, don't ruin my people. BB says you are smashing two words together like a hybrid.
I know it was fun. We were trying to make them make a baby, but we never saw the baby come out.
What
I'm a
would we
little
call that
depressed about
hybrid?
that.
What would we
four
call that
dudes Trying to
hybrid?
make a baby doesn't really work out so well, does it?
Unfortunately, the hybrid is already taken. That name of the two words smash together is already taken.
Oh, it's already
don't know,
taken.
sir.
It's copyrighted.
No,
is
sir.
it?
You're the monkey in the middle. You're the moderator.
No, sir. Don't throw me in the middle of that shit.
I'm gonna step out of
I'm
this.
here to I'm here to break up your baby oil and butt bust and shit. And Nate
If you
sends
have
a
enough
big
baby
five.
oil, that bust don't bust. That butt don't bust.
Nate sends a big 5 just to say a Yahtzee. Some people are gonna think based on transcripts that this entire debate was based on a game.
I know, huh?
Mhm.
And Naomi says, all the love to the gorgeous tomato. Thank you so kindly. Kobe sends a big 5 just for me to tell you all to shut the fuck up. And Raymond on Cash App sends another 5 just to say to make it feel better. Thank you so kindly. Gentlemen, are we ready for our open panel dumpster fire? I think we're
I got the
ready to
oil.
have-
Did
Ooh.
everybody hit the fucking like button yet?
They're
think so.
getting there. I think they
think
could
so.
do better, though. I think
You
they
bunch
should
of
definitely
bitches.
do
You better
better.
hit the button.
Yeah, you bunch of bitches. All right, to all the maters watching, who's got the feedback, please mute yourself and fix your shit right now before I have a total shit show. Thank you. All right, so to all the maters out there watching, the gauntlet is officially opening. If you've been here before, if you're a patron, you know we are going to continue over to the gauntlet side, so be prepared. Those links will be dropped here momentarily. You can start moving now, and then I'll set up the raid, and I will, within the next 10 minutes, probably shut down the tomato, and we will officially move over to the gauntlet. You can continue watching there. Right now, I have everyone up on stage. Everyone below, on the below portion of the panel, is up for grabs to be booted or revived back to the panel. You can boot them $5 or more, kick them off screen, and you can replace them with none other than backstage. We have KO Dave, Eucharist, Rock E, Evan, and John Mosman hanging out, waiting patiently to make their way to the panel. So if somebody's annoying or you don't like what they're saying, or you're just feel like being a dick tonight, feel free to hit the boot button with your money. Outside of that, to the panel, most of you have been here before. You all know when I start talking, you shut the fuck up, just like everyone just did. I really like it when you guys play along very well. If you continue to interrupt each other, you know we get the horse video or whatever stupid shit I decide to put on screen to shut you up. Try to be nice to each other. Okay, shout it out. Let's go.
Like y'all made me drink tonight.
You're welcome.
It was interesting trying to follow exactly what you guys think. So
yeah, I get this a lot.
You were talking.
It wasn't thinking.
I get that a lot because I take a lot of oppositional views and play devil's advocate a lot. So a lot of people don't really know what I think.
I don't know if it was Dusty or Vibe that brought up a good point that I was going to bring up. You know, we had a lot of talk about the prompt itself, and you guys were saying a better prompt might be that America is heading towards National Socialism. If that were the prompt, what would be the argument for that?
I mean, on my side, looking at that, I would actually say, because I actually brought this up, when we're looking at things like federalism coming into California and like going into LA, that could be somebody saying, well, that is a step towards social or national socialism, right? But I would actually refute that by saying George Washington did that, our very first president, in Pennsylvania, right? So throughout history, we've had these tendencies to move towards something like that, but because of our checks and balances, we always come back to center. And so even though we're kind of straying sometimes, we always, because of our checks and balances, come back to center. So I just think it's a bunch of propaganda when people are saying, especially the leftists, and I think it's a lot of Trump hatred, where people are just basically going, oh, Trump is he's a king. He's going to run for a third term. You know what? I'll retire from these panels if he runs for a third presidency and breaks the law. I don't think it's going to happen. I think we're going to have another election, and I don't think we're going to end up in those 25 points. So, I mean, that would be my defense if we did go from is to heading to, because I think at any point of history of the United States, we can always say we've been heading there, but our checks and balances have always brought us back home.
Funny that the first answer to that wasn't making a concentration camp in the swamp for foreigners.
40-year-old virgin fallacy.
You've seen the videos of it
That's
coming
funny.
out where they got a cell phone in there, and it's like, you know, a church gathering, right? It's not like some gulag.
Indian Jesus, I that's why I made the point of like all they hear is the word like national socialist. They Google it, they see Yahtzee. It's like, oh, we're clearly not 1930s Germany, and it's like no matter how
That's what it fucking means.
What it is.
Right.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah.
Two things put
That's why I'm
together,
trying to
right?
shift it
You're saying.
That's why I'm trying to shift it to what you guys were saying. If we're going to be moving in
Yeah.
that direction, I think that's a more fruitful conversation, and there's a lot to be said about that.
I mean, it's definitely more fruitful than their misunderstanding of that.
And I can't pull these up on screen or else I would, but coming over from the Rumble side, Nuke sends the big 10 and says, for the puppy or wine, whichever you need, Sarah. Thank you, Nuke. I appreciate that. I might split that one in two. Thank you. Back to you guys.
Teriyaki and Cleaner, would you guys agree that the group that used that moniker was not like the most honest and straightforward people?
Which group are you speaking to?
The people who call themselves the National Socialists.
The Germans, yeah.
The Germans.
Sehr good. Sehr good.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that it would be fair to say that there was a large number of them that probably weren't very honest and straightforward about shit. You know.
Would you also agree that they were a
It's
little more
how it looks.
nationalist than anything else?
I don't know, man. I mean, on that, from what I've looked
so
at,
my point is going like, so if you look at the last election that they won, nearly every party in that election had either the People's Party of this, the Social Party of that, social this, social that. Almost, it was the flavor of the time. So obviously they were using socialist rhetoric at the time, which is what historians have pointed out, as a way to populism.
Right.
But
I mean,
man,
that could
come
be.
on. Can you
But,
point
I mean,
at
that would,
any of their
but the thing
policies
is,
and be like, "Yep, that's socialist."
The thing is, though, Effigy, that would speak to the intent.
Socialists
And
are all about
like
class,
I said earlier,
right?
look,
What
all
were the
we can
Yahtzees
do,
all about?
all we can do to try and figure out intent is
Yes,
look at what they
instead
did,
of class,
and
they
try
used
and say, okay,
race.
well, that is what the
Right.
intent looks like,
That
or it
makes
isn't.
it a
That's all we
different
can look at.
ideology, though.
No,
We can't say we know for sure what their intent was. All we can do is just try to
okay.
look at what the history shows.
What do you mean we can't say for sure what their
FG,
intent was?
We can't say we know what
You
their
guys
intent was.
listed off
we can
that,
say
those
we
points on
think.
that list as though they
We
were in good
think we
faith,
know.
and you
It was a
didn't even
pretty
mention
clear
what
intent.
actually happened because of those points.
They made
Yeah,
the
okay. If we were to take
This isn't like
they executed a
hypothetical.
bunch of people.
yeah, one second, FG. If we were to take a society, right, that was like the only political issues they seem to talk about is Christian and capitalism, would it be wrong to say that's a Christian capitalist society?
If they have
Depends on
elections
what
the next
context.
term, it might be different.
If
Yeah,
you're
but in
just throwing
terms of
out a
like, if
descriptor,
both sides,
yeah.
if one side all they care about is Christian issues, the other side all they care about is capitalist issues.
No,
That's the only dynamic conversations
no.
that happen. Would you not say that that's a
No.
Christian?
Terry,
No,
listen,
okay.
listen. These two things are operating in
okay.
opposition to one another, and you're saying they're the same thing
Yes.
because it's your only choice. You only have
It's
a
the one
choice between the
system.
puppet on the right, the puppet on the left, and something about some MK Ultra. I'm not entirely certain how that ties in, but NASA was established largely by Operation Paperclip.
Yes. All of these government systems, like it's all
So wait,
from that core ideology.
If
And
you guys agree on
what
that-
political stance do they have?
if
What
you
would
guys
you call
agree
it?
on that, can you explain how that helps your point that America's National Socialist?
Yeah, so like when you look at like this whole thing of like the no matter who gets in, it seems to be like we're in a uniparty system. George Carlin talks about this in his comedy where it's like you have the illusion of choice, right? Who would be capable of controlling that like the nation of America? You have an organization called the CIA who literally their job is to destabilize other nations.
Okay,
That's the whole ploy,
And that
right?
makes
So
America
Actually,
National
he also
Socialist
said that
because-
yeah, but when you look at how was the CIA established, I gave the whole timeline in terms of like 1945 Operation Paperclip. By 1947 rolls around, you get the National Securities Act, which basically outlines the establishment of the CIA. It also, coincidentally, does a bit of propaganda where it changes the Department of War, Department of Defense. Nice bit of propaganda there, you know what I'm saying? But like the whole infrastructure for what you call the deep state, or what Alex Jones would call the deep state, or whatever the fuck the shadow government, whatever people are calling it, whatever wing you want to call it, that's basically who's controlling the thing, the CIA.
You just
So when you
said
look back to their origins, even like what Sasquatch was saying, even NASA was using.
Okay, but the question
Yahtzees.
was, how does
What
that
it
make
is.
America more National Socialist? I'm not going to refute anything
Because he
you're
says
saying,
so.
It's not really relevant, but I'm trying to make
Yes.
the connection to all of the things that you're saying. Let's assume everything you said is completely accurate and completely true. How does that connect to, therefore, America is a National Socialist country?
Yeah, so basically they captured a system that's capable of destabilizing nations. So all they've done is subvertly guided your nation towards from what was American ideals towards this National Socialism. Because like I said, you go back through all these elections, 2024, you had Trump, nationalism, America first, rah, rah, rah. You had Kamala, socialism. All the Democrats' positions are all social benefits. That's their main job. That's how they get their voters.
I have
You
a
go back
question.
through each elections, the only options you've had is nationalism or socialism.
Pretty amazing behind that whole little like philosophy there is we can definitely say that like when the Bush administration went into Iraq, like we went there and we occupied, and one of the main things we did was we tried to install democracy. We were thinking that our ideals would work in their country just as well as they work in our country, and we failed miserably. Right now we're in the Trump administration. Now we went in and we bombed Iran. Did we put in soldiers and try to change their mind and try to set up their government, just like the CIA has done through Afghanistan and all these things. So we've kind of learned our lesson, and our checks and balances once again are working. In this particular case, we have a idea where we came in. We don't want them to have the nuclear weapons. We want to make sure that Israel is okay, but we're not going in and trying to install our ideas anymore. I think we're changing. I think we're actually, in a sense, in my opinion, moving more away than to that type of country that was killing millions of people in the 30s. Wow.
So
Again,
how
like I
does that
said,
make
the
us-
main point I'm trying to make here is in terms of like the word, because like I said, like you could say you could have benevolent communism, right? Like you could say you can have benevolent socialism, but if you say you can have benevolent national socialism, everybody freaks out.
Well, no. So I mean,
That's what I'm saying. It's
I
control.
would disagree with
So
all three.
there's Marxism, right? And there's tons of flavors of Marxism. You've got socialism,
Yes,
you've got communism, and I get that. You kept on saying that over and over.
but what you're saying is
There's no
what
flavors. There is no
Yeah.
documentation or anything in history that has any flavors of National Socialism. So when you're saying that we're saying, oh, we're sticking to this one defined thing, it is the only defined thing. There is no flavors of that. I understand that Marxism has flavors, and I
I would
understand
like
there are variances, but not in this particular case.
I would like to hear
Why
Terry's
not?
definition of National Socialism, because I haven't heard
Oh my
that
God,
yet.
we've done it 3 times.
yes,
Really?
Terry-
like I gave it in the
I
I don't
debate.
get it.
Every
So maybe
single
we're all
time.
dumb.
A system where your only two options are nationalism or socialism.
No,
The
they are in
problem,
opposition. You are speaking about a system in which these 2 points are in opposition. They are the opposite parties. And you're saying that because the CIA exists, they are a uniparty, a deep state operation, and it's all a cover for the Fourth Reich, bro. That's what you're saying. That is the end result of the thought process you're going
That's
through.
why I
Your
wanted to hear it, because I
hypothesis.
He
wanted to
didn't
refute
say
it.
those words. He didn't
Why
actually
didn't
say those
position that
words.
we
That's the
are
end
Never said
result.
those words.
I
Democratic,
mean,
Republican.
just
But
because
that's
you
what I'm
can
saying. Control
interpret
words.
something,
If those are
in there.
If
just
those are the
because
two
you can
parties-
take something to some kind of ridiculous interpretation like a woman would, doesn't mean that that's the actual interpretation or what he's
You
actually
start
meaning.
attacking my
National
character, sir.
Can I
You've
ask
lost
you a
the
question?
conversation.
Party.
I
It's
can't
a
hear you.
political party.
I
It's
couldn't
one
hear you there,
party.
Doc.
The problem
Could-
with saying that nationalism and socialism on opposite sides is that National Socialism is one party, not two.
One thing.
That's
One
so
thing.
We've
Why,
been
why
we've been
wouldn't
through
this be?
this.
Why wouldn't America be a
The illusion
Republican
of choice.
Democrat?
You refute the
So
concept.
yes, good question.
Hey,
Yes,
everyone
good question.
wants to
So
moron.
because you're thinking of this in terms of a one-party system, if you have this one-party system, if you have this one party, there's going to be some sort of opposition to that's going to form, right? Whereas if you have both sides bought off,
Your
you control in direction.
Just
Yeah.
trust me, bro. It's just trust me. That's all you've been saying all night. Is like,
What did the CIA do?
Hold on.
What did
Hold
the CIA do
hold on.
internationally?
We're not going into that right now. We're talking about the prompt. First of all, you apparently set a prompt and then immediately transgressed to a different definition of national
No.
socialism.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. You absolutely did. And
So you
in doing
agree.
so, you completely devalued the basis of this debate and made it a farce, which is why I consider you a troll. Now, I don't think
No.
you've taken any of this stuff seriously. I think you've been
I
here
have taken it seriously.
playing silly buggers the whole night, and we're all biting on the end of it. I'm so down for it. I love
Well,
it.
if you believe it, I don't believe you actually believe that it actually is. I believe that you believe it's moving towards. And so maybe this is just a warning for us.
But even so, that's why I was trying to bridge the gap. That if if all the things you're talking about with the uniparty, okay, if we shift it to moving towards National Socialist, then make that argument. But I don't. I mean, unless I'm stupid, I didn't get
That would have been no. That's perfect. That is flawless. It would have worked out
Yes.
fine had you simply accepted an updated prompt
yeah,
that
so-
actually takes into account the
We're
context.
moving towards that, and then everybody agrees with it. So this is what I'm saying in
So
terms
then
of the
what is it
sensitivity.
that we're
But like
moving
this
everybody
whole
agrees
this
with
whole
that,
thing
and
of
I
like
would
where
totally-
National Socialism all of a sudden had a strict definition. There's no other variants of it.
All
Now
of a
all of a sudden we understand what National Socialism is.
National
See what I'm
socialism
saying?
is a single party, and you changed that definition, sir.
Yeah, I mean,
I have
here's the
not
biggest
changed that
part of this.
definition.
The problem of this
I
whole
didn't
debate
change the
is that
definition.
Teriak's version of National Socialism
I don't
is
think he did.
completely different. Cleaner actually came up with 25 points that I didn't. I didn't actually have those 25 points. Mine were wrapped up into 5 of those and consolidating them. Teriak still has yet to admit that that is National Socialism. He's still on some CIA claiming that
It's
we
all a
looked up
troll.
on
It's
Google
great.
and therefore we're wrong.
It's
even though
not a
he's
troll.
sitting there
Like you
YouTubing
can
all
look
day.
this shit up yourself. Look this shit up yourself. If it
He
walks
is
like a
true.
duck and
It
it quacks like a duck, I'm calling it a fucking duck.
Well, if it walks like an Irishman and quacks like an Irishman, I'm giving it a potato.
Then it's a leprechaun. Then it's a leprechaun.
Well, speaking of leprechauns, Teriak. By the way, I love you, brother. You know that, right? Like,
100%. But this,
you know,
understand.
you
I've already said.
Actually,
I'm willing to play.
Before you get crazy into this, because I know John's about to go.
Get him, Mosman.
I want to go ahead and shut down the Raging Tomato side. So everybody, I am dropping the YouTube link over to the Gauntlet in the chat. Go now, or the raid should carry you over. If not, you're goodbye. All right, go ahead, John.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. So you're really good at like bringing a lot of different things into it and scattershotting everything. But the thing of it is you can talk about America becoming a National Socialist state, but even then, and this is the thing I have to ask you, because would you agree you're probably more on the conservative side of the spectrum of politics?
Yeah, but bear in mind, I'm like low key. Do you know what I mean? I'm more willing to play the villain. So like this whole thing of like I'll be the puncher bag. I can play that role.
Okay. So
I got
all
diamond
these
skin,
years
baby.
of liberals telling us that that we're a bunch of Nazi or Yazis, that somehow now we're going to just say, yep, we are.
Yeah, this is the thing. They had the right answer, but the wrong workings. That's the best way to describe it. Yeah.
All right.
Because like I said, Nick Fuentes is not an isolated event. You know what I mean? Like you can't just like hand wave this whole thing with like Nick Fuentes, all this stuff. Like they idolize 1930s Germany. They're begging for it.
But you know, if
What does
you
it have to
if
do with
you
the
The prompt,
structure
National
of-
Socialists.
but see, here's the thing:
They
is that I think
certain
wanna
people
make a
like National
Socialist.
Socialists. Therefore, our country is National Socialist. Is that your position?
No, I'm pointing to stuff in the culture where it's like they're literally idolizing 1930s Germany.
So
And you're acting as though
there's many
this is
instances
crazy. What are you
of
talking
things
about?
like Nick Fuentes, and because
yes,
of that,
I'm
we are
piecing
national-
together the big picture. I'm trying to piece together the big picture
Yeah,
here.
that's
I'm
not
trying
what
to
that
get you
means,
to
though.
take a step out.
Trust me,
and
bro. All over
to just
again.
put all this
Slowly
put all this in perspective. You know what I mean? The fact that you have all this going on in the culture, the fact that you have this like this nefarious deep state apparatus that has no issue with like ethically fucking trying to control people's minds with drugs or whatever means necessary, and you also have like the questionable ethics of destabilizing other nations. And you're just sitting here going, they would never try to destabilize or try to
never
bring
said-
America
I don't
down a
think
bad
anybody
path.
has said that. I certainly
You
haven't.
said
Yeah. Yeah, no,
What I
what I'm
said is
saying
that
is
we're
like
not
I'm
a
bringing up the
social
CIA and you're acting as if I'm crazy talking about the CIA and all shit. It's like just look at what you
It's
documented.
You're not afraid that you're
in this
saying that the
conversation.
CIA
you and nobody knows what's going on, right? So here you are going, okay, we're talking about deep state, and you don't know. You're just making assumptions. It's conspiracy. Maybe it's true.
No,
maybe
it's not. No,
We
it's
don't
not.
know. But, your
it's not.
whole argument has been, I have this theory that this is happening in this
No.
black box that we have no visibility into. And therefore, it's true because none of us have visibility to it. Therefore, you can't
What
refute
was
it.
Operation
Therefore, I am
Paperclip?
right.
That's a great.
What, Void, one sec, Void, one sec, Void. No, one sec. What's
Millions
Operation
and
Paperclip?
billions of dollars.
Let's try some Operation Paperclip. Operation Paperclip specifically occupied the offices of NASA and Los Alamos, and a handful of a very few handful of people that were in the national. I can't remember what it was when it was the Yahtzee party, but they had an intelligence branch, and we got
SS.
full of those people.
SS, yeah.
Yeah, yes, and that formed the CIA.
Most of those people were either hanged or shot.
Yeah, and then what happened?
Were they?
Okay, and what happened? What happened in Operation Bluebird?
Mockingbird.
Right? No, Bluebird, which turned into MK Ultra.
Oh my! But why
So-
does MK Ultra matter in relation to what? Come on, please.
Because
please.
it's the same stuff they were doing. Caucasian, listen to me. It was the same stuff that they were doing in the camps.
Operation Unit 731 performed exactly the same things, and you're not saying that it's the same regime as Tojo over there, right? Because they're doing the same things. They are not the same party, right? They were imperialist, whereas the Yazis were National Socialists. In fact, that's all they were. And no one else was a National Socialist because that was the definition of their
Yes.
singular party. So
you
we
took
might
that
be moving
apparatus.
in that direction, but you can't just steadfastly say that because Operation Paperclip becomes CIA, becomes Yahtzee Party,
And they
becomes
start doing the same stuff, yeah. When they start doing the same stuff.
no,
Yes.
that's
Harry,
not
is
the
there- is there a
definition of
different-
what the prompt was. Not at all. You're completely off base with it. I'm saying
That's-
moving
I think
forward.
that's
It's the
that
same
would be-
ideology. It's the same ideology.
Yeah,
Yeah.
is there a different way you could articulate America is this without using the words National Socialist that maybe is a little bit more vague, that we could kind of get a better idea
Sure,
of how that
if I got my
connects to what
chisel
we're
out, I
Wanna
could
get
get like
more
very
vague
specific
than
in the
the
definition on the
specific?
shit, but all I got is a hammer,
Yes.
okay?
Well,
Yeah.
here's
So
the
I'm
thing.
sorry to
the
be blunt,
specific.
but-
I
Start vague,
listed.
and then we'll hone in,
Look,
because clearly starting out, this
look,
thing
look.
is this, we're not getting anywhere.
Sarcastic Warlock says, by Teriak's logic, we're not National Socialists, but a democratic republic, since we have just Democrats and Republicans.
Well, that's what they say they are. Is what is that's what he's saying is they're saying they're
Yeah,
Democrats
exactly.
and Republicans, right? I
In
can't see
position.
your name on the bottom right, but I linked Indian Jesus. Okay, I linked in the private chat the National Socialist program that has like the 25 points. And to be fair, yeah, I understand that like some of these points don't apply to modernity, right? So we can't really say those are points that we are achieving or could achieve, right? I wouldn't say that because that's fucking ridiculous. But like of the ones that we could achieve in society today, I mean, we're achieving most of them, if not almost all of them, that we could actually achieve in society today, or pushing towards them.
Okay.
Yeah, but once
So let me
again, we
give
have
you
to
a
go back
really
to the goal
simple and
cleaner. Is
stupid
what was
response
their goal for
that-
achieving those 25 versus our goal, like better education? We had this in
Well,
we had this in the debate, right?
right,
Does
right.
anybody disagree
But
with
hold on,
better
hold on.
education or better
Hold on,
health?
though,
Well,
Vibe.
no,
Hold on.
Adolf supported
Listen.
education, public education.
I
Listen,
agree. Yeah, he did.
the thing-
he wanted
the whole-
better education.
Still good, still
Hold
good,
on,
yeah.
hold on.
Yeah.
Vibe. Hold on. Because what you're doing right now isn't really like it's a little disingenuous. If you understand the difference between saying the Yahtzee party was doing this and they had this intent, therefore all their people had that intent. However, our people have a different intent from their leaders. So,
Yeah,
but
that's a weak argument.
it's not really a good comparison because
think
you
it's a
can't
great
say that
comparison.
all the people. You can't say that all the people that were there in the Yahtzee party necessarily had that belief, that same belief structure. Some of them were fear-mongered into service.
Why you-
Some of them were pushed into service. Some of them had their families held at gunpoint.
Vibe,
Like
you're making me
there's a
think
lot of
But
shit,
nearly everyone in the party
You're ma-
was
I'll let you
like
finish.
loyal
You just
and
made
believed in
agree
it.
with cleaner
and
there
some
because
of
that
them
was a
were
great
lied to get them
I hate
into the
that.
service.
That's a good
So
point.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
what I'm saying is you're kind of giving an analogy that doesn't really fit there, or you're
No,
trying
it
to
does, right?
compare
I
the
mean,
two
so
and it doesn't
I
fit.
guarantee you,
Just
probably
practical nation building.
80% of the German population between the 30s and 40s that were sitting there holding guns didn't even know they were the baddies, and probably some of them were even like, I mean, they're just following the rules of the government.
Right.
Our own soldiers, right? They don't know if we're
Okay,
the
so
goodies or
how do you
baddies. Maybe
know
we're
for
bad, right?
sure? Right.
But we do know that the party that was created had an intention, not the people. The people that followed it thought they were trusting the
Listen,
people.
I
But we're
get
not
what you're
talking about the
saying.
people that we're trusting. We're talking about the people.
I
that
get
were
what you're saying.
giving the
I do.
trust.
You're saying
You're
hashtag
saying
not
the guys
all,
at the
bro.
top. You're saying the guys at the top that
That
were
was the
running the
party.
party had
That's
this
the
intent
party.
from what we see, right? And so therefore that's the intent we think they had.
That's the
Well, what I'm
party.
saying is, what I'm saying is,
We
hold
have
on,
historical
hold on,
documentation
hold on.
that we know that
Hold on.
was their
Why do you
intent.
think that we don't know that? Why are you saying we think that and we don't know that?
Because we can only go off of what somebody tells us. Like if
No,
they say, okay,
they
you
told-
have
hold-
the literal
hold on,
documents.
Right.
sir.
hold on,
They told us.
Hold on.
Why are we
Hold
distrusting
on.
what they told us?
hold on. All right. You can only go off of what someone tells you their intent is. You don't know if that's actually what their intent is. We can just trust what they're saying.
Well, Harry
Germans
came
are
in
no
with
Oh, you
good
do.
intentions, and we all know what Harry's intentions were because he bought a 10 gauntlet membership. Shout out to all of you lucky lottery winners. Please feel free to drop a bunch of tomatoes or squires or swords in chat for Harry. Thank you so kindly.
So
Here's the
to
problem
the
with
question,
the
hold on. I have a
really
question
good
myself
story.
now.
They were
I would
fast.
like to ask a question myself now. So Vibe, what you were saying with the whole like the National Socialist Party, the Yahtzee Party, had this intent, right? We could see that. We could look at history and say, okay, we can see that people came forward saying that, so we believe that that's probably what their intent was, right? Because that's what they're saying, right? I mean, we can go along with that.
There's
Okay,
lots of
that's fair.
documentation from
That's fair.
that party that we've
Right.
recovered
Oh,
that actually
okay.
lays
Check
out
out the
what their
Nuremberg trials.
plan
Hold on,
was,
hold on,
what
no.
their
This is
intentions were
trials
written
were
down
not
in
necessarily
text.
the best because there was a
Right.
lot of tortured
All right.
contestants.
Yeah, I'm not saying that any of that shit didn't happen. All right. What I'm saying is we can see that we think that this is what the intent was. All right. There's the strongest correlate that this is what the intent was. All right. I wouldn't even try to argue they had some other intent when you're talking about the top people, because I couldn't say they didn't. But the thing is, all right, we know that because that's in history. What we're doing right now, our government, what they're doing right now, we don't know what their intent is because all we can do is trust their words. And we've been lied to left and right by our government. So how do we know if what they're telling us is actually their intent?
We have pictures.
We would have to
Follow
look at
their
history after it's happened, right?
Well, no, actually, I can lay that out, and I've already
History
answered this
tells
Be
us
question.
fair. I mean,
By
really,
I pointed
we
this
have
out
to
from
look
the
at the
beginning.
fruits.
Is the United States has failed many times over and over, but because of our checks and balances, we keep on coming back into balance. We
I get
have
that.
been
I'm not
lied
saying
to.
we
and we will
won't.
be lied to again. Our
Yeah,
agendas are not
I'm not
always
saying we won't.
received correctly, but we have a system put
I
in
get that.
place that keeps on bringing us back to center. So imagine, like, it's not just vibes, it's not just feelings, but I listened to this podcast by this one YouTuber. He was talking about, like, when somebody's doing a debate about kids like snow, and when they're in the snow, they like to throw snowballs. And when you see them
Most
throwing the
kids do.
snowballs, would you think they're having a good time?
Yeah, you would assume
Sorry, that was
that.
just for you, Cleaner.
Is their intent to
Yeah,
have a good
you would assume that.
I would assume
Look,
that. I know that's
listen,
kind of where we're
listen.
going down, but I don't
Know
think
if they're
I don't think we're in that particular
Listen.
case.
Listen, what I'm all
we
I'm
don't.
saying,
We
I'm
don't know.
not saying that wasn't their intent. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that
your
was
whole
their
premise,
intent.
sir.
No, that is not my
You
whole
said
fucking
you don't
premise.
know their intent. You
Premise
don't know
is
their
Straw
intent.
my
man,
premise.
Their intent.
Oh my
I
god,
read the
dude!
Nuremberg files myself, sir.
No,
I sat down and
no,
put the trial
you're
completely-
interrupting what I'm saying, so you're not going to know what I'm saying.
You're
How
not
could you possibly
completing
know what
your
I'm
thought
saying?
process.
No, what I said was I can't say I know for sure what their intent is. I can only look at what they've done historically, what they've said,
Okay,
and try
so
to trust what
you're
it is they've said
trying to
and their
the
actions.
entire literary record involved in World War II and the post operations of Operation Paperclip and the Nuremberg trials and the Holocaust itself are all a hypothetical based on some stuff that people said once.
That's not what I said at all. You're yet again strawmanning me.
Either you can trust the history that's written before you, or you do not trust the history that's written before you. You can pick and choose if you wish, but this seems to be sort of a blanket thing you've got going on.
No, I'm not making a blanket statement. What I'm saying is you can assume what their intent was based off the strongest correlate, but you can't know for sure that's what their intent was.
Imagining
You're
that there's a
them.
gap from where there is not.
I don't see how
There's
you don't
not a
understand
gap here.
this.
There's not a gap here, dude. Like, you're
I don't
either
see how you don't
believing
understand
the
this.
actual history that happened, or you're making up new history. I don't understand where.
I'm not
where
saying
you're-
anything about history. I
Okay.
literally say what I mean to say. If you choose to take it in some other way, that's your problem. I literally say what I mean, though.
Not always. You seem to say things that you think and then mean things different later. And I'm trying to parse this out. I'm really trying to come at you
And
honestly.
I'm being very clear. I'll say it again, okay? We can look at the history. We can look at what they told us.
Hypothetically speaking, you cannot trust the
I
things
never
that.
said hypothetically. I never said
I
a
did.
hypothetical.
I
I didn't build one. Yeah, that's fine. Then go for it. Build one.
All right. Either you can trust people testifying at their own trials for their own defense as being something that's worthwhile, or not. Are you saying that all of that is completely trash and only what you personally believe is acceptable? What are you saying? Say something that matters, and try to bypass the intent concept, because you're saying hashtag not all, and just trust me, bro. They're not working. That's not a valuable
I'm not saying
point.
just
to make
trust
arguments
me.
about.
I'm not saying hashtag whatever the fuck bullshit you just said. I didn't say any of that shit.
Stated.
Yeah, I'm saying the only thing we can go off is what we saw in history and what they say. All right, that's it. We don't know for sure if that's what's actually in their head or not. We just know this is what they told us, and this is what we see in history.
You're trying to make a
That's what we can
correlation between the baker down the street and Adolf Hitler himself. Adolf
The what?
Hitler the leader of the National Socialist Party and the baker down the street just trying to get along in the day. I do not believe the baker wanted to do anything to anyone nefarious. He was just trying to get along.
I don't even understand why you're getting hung up on this. I really don't even understand why you're getting hung up on this. It's like a minor fucking detail.
You wish to question the intent of an entire party who quite
I'm not questioning the intent of an entire party.
Position. You've read them and tried to analogize them to the American position, and yet they don't actually fit what's actually happening.
Well, no, some of the points that they have do fit.
Some of the things kind of
the things that could actually fit based on today in modernity, yeah, they're fitting them.
Because you think so? Or
no, because you read it and look at what the government is pushing on one side or the other, and you can see this is what they pushed, they achieved that. This is what they pushed, they achieved that. This is what they pushed, they achieved that. That's what you can do. You can look at what's happened, history. That's all we can do to try and prove something about history.
Literally. Yes, you are correct. We can look at the history of the two situations that are possibly analogous on some levels and aren't quite an apples to apples comparison, but you seem to be trying to correlate both parties in the United States as being the thing that you're pointing out. And then I would still say, yeah, you can't prove their intent.
Well, no, I'm not trying to prove their intent, and I'd never claimed to prove their intent because, like I said originally, I don't know what someone's actual intent is. I can only look at the strongest correlate, evidence or what they say. And we can try and trust what they say. You know what I mean?
What they say.
That's what we can do.
That is an acceptable bar by which to judge what someone intends to do or has done.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that it's not an acceptable bar to judge what we believe their intent was. The only thing, listen, you guys are misunderstanding. Whenever I'm saying you can't know for sure what's in someone else's head, all I'm saying is you literally can't know for sure what's in someone else's head. I don't know for sure that that's what their intent is. I'm trusting that they say this is what my intent was, and this is what history shows. That's all we can do. That's all I fucking said the whole damn time, dude. I've said it 5 times now.
Not defense. That is a completely empty batch of words that you stick together to take up time in a conversation that has no bearing on whether or not we know someone's intent.
You asked about intent, and intent doesn't fucking matter.
Yes, we can read the transcripts from history. We can look at the actual bills being produced today.
Yeah, we can look at what they've actually achieved today.
It's
and
not
see the correlations. There are some correlations. I'm not saying everything in American government is a correlate there. All right? I'm not. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say everything in American government would be a correlate. Do what?
This 1v1 is sponsored by Dr. Squatch and rum.
Rum? I don't know. I got Crown.
Oh, good girl. I appreciate that. That was fun. I enjoyed that. Thank you.
I like it when you call me a good girl. Who else was up there?
I know.
Sasquatch, you were wrong about kind of like some of the stuff. If you look at a lot of the people who were put in trial in Nuremberg, there's a suspicious amount of suicides that ended up happening, which if you look at like the autopsies, it's like bullets in the back of the head.
I was not complete, sir. I was not wrong. I did not go further into what you're speaking on. I'm making a particular point.
He wasn't speaking in a monolith.
Wrong is the wrong way to approach this.
He wasn't speaking in a monolith, Evan. He wasn't speaking in an all or none type. He was just talking about a certain setup of people. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, I got that. I understood what he was saying.
To me, I think the big issue here on this whole debate is, like, obviously when you say things like it is, and then you're using the National Socialist label, then the burden is to prove that it is, not that it's becoming, not that it could be, not that it's partially, that it is. The other thing is also, I think I would be more supportive of that position if you guys said, look, I can tell you why we are becoming that way, because let's look at how with the Weimar Republic, not the Weimar Republic, but how they. Right. Yeah, but how you had a lot of corruption in the government, and you had basically the falling away of the counts of their constitution, and that voting was at its all-time low. So I mean, if you made good examples that way, you could probably make a better case.
You know, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I took this debate knowing full well that I was going like against the worst possible framing. That it's like that I already have this whole thing of like to deal with 1930s Germany, but then also like I'm completely in defense. They don't have to make any argument to like what it could what else it could be, all this kind of shit. Like that's why I want to come at that. I want to give it the worst or the best test, depending on my way to look at it. And then, like I said, it seems like everybody across the spectrum of left wing and right wing on panel agrees that you're at least heading towards that direction. You might not be there yet. You might not be at the station, but you're on the train.
That's all we said. What he said specifically is we would accept that as
an. This is what I'm saying. I'm willing to be the villain. I'm willing to be the punch bag. Everybody memes on, you know, leprechauns on his unicorn. You know,
I'm not going to stop you.
Hey, I'm just trying to help you along the way, bro. Too. Anybody who knows me knows I believe some wild, outlandish things. So, but
who are you?
I don't.
I mean, my personal advice, Teriak, would be
I'm just kidding, Brick. I know who you are.
Is to define your philosophy and the state that you think our government is going to, and come up with your own term for it, and not actually throw it under National Socialism, because I think that is the wrong term for whatever philosophy you're trying to find.
Well, I think now look, I may not fully understand Teriak's point behind all this, but what I think his point behind this prompt was to get people to realize that we are moving towards a national socialist type government, and we need to fucking stop that shit so that it doesn't take over America.
Well, what you shouldn't stop doing is sending in those gifted gauntlet memberships. Shout out to Harry Ludwig again with another round of 10. Congratulations to you, lucky lottery winners. Back to you, gentlemen.
So, because my question is, because I see this because I want to point this out, because it's not just in America; it's all across the West, Europe, Australia. It's the same thing. This push to socialism from the left, the counter to that should be capitalism, but we don't see that. The counter to that is nationalism. I'm like, guys, there's only one way this train ends up. There's only one station it ends up on: nationalism, socialism. It'd be the one thing everybody agrees on. You just prioritize the different systems.
Did you realize, though, that now talking about the other world, that makes this topic extra topical, which means that doesn't really help the point, right? You could say that there are other trends that America shows in the history that maybe that does, but again, the problem, and I think really the other issue that we have is because National Socialist, besides the specific terminology that it means, which means a particular ideology associated with a particular political party from Germany, but not only that, but that we also realize that really a lot of it didn't. I'm willing to concede that point if you're willing to concede that all forms of nationalism are a form of have some socialism aspect to them, or we just talk about the fact that National Socialism, as it's been identified, is really fascism, which is what it is.
That's a false dichotomy. We can do all kinds of other things, like talk to someone else who makes sense.
I'm not sure it is a false dichotomy, not at least from the perspective from which you're bringing it. I mean, that's kind of where it ended up, and as a byproduct of National Socialism in the first place. The party ended up as a fascist dictatorship.
Well, let me throw something out to you guys here, right? So when talking about socialism, we're saying, like, if we pay for school in the United States, we do it only up to grade 12. But let's say we took it all the way to college and grad school. If we pay for Medicare or hospital or all your healthcare, right? We would consider that socialist. However, in some ways, you have to look at whether it's actually socialist or not. So if you are only doing it like the National Socialist Party to create a strong army, but not for the benefit of the people, but for the benefit of the nation, it's not really socialism. It's for the benefit of the country. However, if you are a country that is giving healthcare, not because you're trying to build soldiers, just because you care about the people, that would be socialism. Now, in these two cases, we can actually say both are doing that. But once again, it's what is the end goal? Am I doing this just because I care about the people, or am I doing this because I need a stronger military, right? So both you could consider socialist. However, based on what the agenda is by the government, not necessarily the people, it changes whether that's actually socialist or not. And I would say socialist.
Let me ask you this:
not for just for the benefit of the people, not for the benefit of the government.
I would respectfully.
Well, can I ask you?
America is Israel's kind of like private army. So and we have like all the soldiers that we send to go and fight for them and to go and orchestrate the world empire so that Israel doesn't have to.
Yeah,
Or
to
that's
avoid
how I
bringing
would
up
say it.
to avoid bringing up Israel though, Void, what would you describe the system that I described where all you have is nationalism and socialism? What word would you pick for it? Because that's the main goal. Because like
Well,
with
actually,
Aphrodite,
here's
we
the
started
thing,
with crazy
though.
shit, but we
Well,
ended up
It's
with baby
not
drafts,
authentic
which is
Hold on.
productive.
socialism, right?
But the same question I'm
Actually,
asked you, how would you describe that system?
actually, Teriak, I think the spirit of what he was saying isn't necessarily wrong. Like, what if I'm summing this up right, Vibe, or wrong? Please let me know. But it kind of sounded like what he was trying to sum it up as is like there was a different goal from what National Socialism was that the Yahtzees were using. They were using it and utilizing it so they could achieve a goal that they had. Now it ended in like military supremacy and all this other shit, and that looks like that's what their fucking goal was, right? And so they used this because that's what all the people got behind. Am I close to what you were saying there, Vibe? Because that's kind of what it sounded like.
And by the way, the socialism that's happening in
Okay.
the United States is kind of the same goal, but it's not military goal. It's economic.
But I would
superiority.
argue that, that
You know,
we don't
I wouldn't
have
actually
socialism
disagree
going
with
on.
you there. I think what they're doing is, I think whoever it is that's trying to do this kind of understands that there's like a better stance to economic superpower than to military superpower, because economic superpower means you can control the military. So, I mean, I wouldn't even disagree with you, you know? I really
And
wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean,
superpower of the chat is coming in from Kissy Cat with the 20 Gauntlet membership. Shout out to you, my little sugar plum. Thank you. Go ahead,
Well,
gentlemen.
and here's the other thing too, guys, because this is the other thing. If you guys would argue a national socialism, and if you would have said that it isn't like the at all the Nazi Germany, and that it's a different type, because let's be honest,
But that's the only
Yahtzee Party,
representation we
the Yahtzee
have. I
Par-
don't know why we'd say anything other
well,
than
because
the
the
representation we
Yahtzee Party
got.
wasn't
You know?
truly socialism. If you understand what socialism is,
No,
it was actually
it was
fascist.
right. It was an amalgam of some of the nationalist and some of the socialist shit that they put together that achieved
That's still fascist.
achieved getting the people behind it so that they could get the goal, like what Vibe was saying, the military supremacy goal. I think he's actually right on that. I think it was kind of like a grift, basically. I think it was a grift to get the people behind them so that they could fucking do this thing. The problem is, I think our government to some degree is doing that as well. I think they are doing the grift to try, like the Democrats show us that shit all the time. They're like, oh, hey, vote for the social welfare of people. We don't want people to, like old people to be without food and water, right? And so you should vote for us. And we vote for them. And they fucking like throw old people nothing and shit on them and then screw everybody else, you know? So it's like, I kind of agree with what Vibe was saying. And I think that's kind of representation, like a representative of what we're seeing now. Like we're seeing that now, you know?
But the only distinction I think is important here is that it's not socialism, because this is where we have to understand fascism at its root word, which is where you group.
Well, it's not fascism and it's not socialism.
It is. And yes, it is. Yeah.
Right. This is the distinction, though, is that we weren't saying that it was socialism or fascism. What the
that's what the
debate we
question
were just
begs.
saying it was National Socialism, right? And that's a little different thing.
Actually, no, you were saying it was national and socialism.
Yes.
No,
Not
what we were saying, what we were specifically saying. Hold on, and I'll say exactly what I said earlier. What we were saying is it is National Socialism. The Democrats are supporting the parts of socialism that achieve National Socialism, and the Republicans are supporting the part of nationalism that supports National Socialism. Now, we're not saying the Democrats support nationalism or the Republicans support whatever. We're saying they're each doing their part to achieve National Socialism at the top.
National and socialism.
But
the problem is
National socialism like the Yahtze Party had.
Why does that not go back to America being a Democrat Republican country? Why
Do what?
Because you're talking about the two parties, and if one party's doing nationalism and one party's doing socialism, and that makes America a national
Parts of it.
socialist.
It
One
actually
party
is
is doing
called a Democratic
republicanism.
Republic.
One party's being Democrats. Why is that not the same framing?
It's actually
Because you
called-
can have, for example, one sec. Let me clarify this. Let me clarify this. You can have a communist. One sec. You can have a communist monarchy. For example, you can have a democratic monarchy. Oh, so you can have you technically can't have a democratic monarchy.
Right.
Like, a lot of these ideologies can be paired with each other. Yeah.
Okay,
Why
okay.
are we not,
Socialism
why
that
is
you're
your
trying-
claim
using
not
that-
America is a democratic republic or a democratic republican?
You can perceive it as that. Like it could be the same thing with monarchy. It could be a national socialist monarchy. It could be a national socialist
You could think the
Democratic
sky is green.
Republic.
I'm asking about
Yeah.
what you think.
I
Yeah,
understand
but
why
like
you
this
chose
is
the prompt. I do.
What?
Because,
Yeah.
like I said, when I was looking at it, I mean, I was thinking this was a ridiculous prompt. You know, I was thinking it was a ridiculous claim. And going through the list, I'm like, okay, well, we actually, like, the Democrats support this one fucking avidly. Like, they started riots about it. Okay, this one the Republicans did, this one the Democrats did, this. And I mean, going through the list, man, there's only a small handful of them that we haven't achieved. And like I said earlier, I think that's because we live in the modernity and not in the 1930s.
Where's
Oh
the
my
part
gosh.
about achieving
Here's the
that when
craziest
all
thing about
means
national
necessary?
socialists. They're not socialists, right?
Hold on.
I didn't see
give me
that
a
one
When I
in
was
there.
defining socialism as like a country like Sweden, right? I mean, they're really implementing socialism for the good of the people, not necessarily for economic gain, even though they know it's a buy result and they've seen great results. But they also have seen really bad results in some of the other things they've done. For us, when we do socialism, we don't do it for, and we're not a socialist country because we don't do it for the benefit of the people. We do it for the benefit of the country. National socialism was national fascism, is the actual correct words to put into Yahtzee Germany. They only replaced fascist with social to fool the people into thinking it's good, right? And so, first off, I would say the whole fight that Teriak's doing of saying that we are a national socialist is completely incorrect because our country never really ran on that in the first place.
Yeah, so if I describe it as fascist socialism,
You're
would that be
muted
better?
here, John.
National fascism, maybe.
You're mixing things that
You
are
know,
Yes,
what
I
I'm
missed
trying
that
to
part.
point towards, like, what would you describe this current system that we have, like nationalism being
All right, hold
presented
on.
on one side
Let me
and
take a
socialism
swing
on
at
the other?
this.
What word would you
it's
use
a
to describe this?
it's a democratic republic in the U.S.
The issue, yes, it's democratic
That
representation.
says nothing.
No.
That says nothing about it.
This is
Yeah,
the
it's
issue.
It's not a full
United-
democratic
The
republic.
Like
United-
all you've described is the
Hold-
voting
hold on.
system.
It's
Yeah,
not a
it's
full democratic
Some
republic.
democracy
opposition
ties
to
We
it.
do
to
not, we
Republican.
do not actually have proper representation in the House of
Yes, you do.
Representatives. No,
Yes,
we
you do.
don't. No, we don't.
Because you say
Yes,
so.
you quite literally do.
No, you
Well,
can
I
only
mean,
have
you have the
the
opportunity to
representation we
vote.
have
Right.
is
You have the opportunity to
democratic,
vote.
right?
You have
No.
you have democratically
That's not
elected
why I'm saying it. I
representation in the
keep
House
trying to
of
explain it.
Congress
Everybody just starts interrupting, which is
Representatives.
fine. I
Go
mean,
ahead.
and
you
in
can
the Senate.
interrupt, but
Well, all right, hold on, folks. Why?
what it is like there's a certain number of people that each representative is allowed to represent, right? And so we don't have enough representatives to actually represent all the people.
Oh, did you just bring immigrants into this, sir?
No, I'm not bringing immigrants at all. I'm only talking about legal citizens. I think Dusty just tried to immigrate a couple of crazy nuts in here, though.
35.
What do you mean you don't have enough?
We did cap the House, and
The
we didn't
repre-
allow
the-
population growth past them.
Right.
The
Yeah,
congressional-
Effigy gets it. He knows what I'm talking about.
The federal House of Representatives in Congress in the United States each have a district whose electorate they represent in the House.
Yeah, the thing is, we don't have the proper representation. There's a certain number of people that each of our representatives in the House of Representatives is allowed to represent. We do not have enough people there to actually represent the people legally like they're showing we should have. We should have somewhere around like,
Are you talking?
yeah, we should actually have somewhere around like I think it's like 6,700 or something like that up there, and
Are
they
you
can only
talking
hold
about
like
that
600 fucking
cost?
people shoulder to shoulder.
Are you talking about that extremely out of date number?
Hold on though.
100 years-
You say extremely out of date and
100
try and
years
make
ago?
it make it sound like less than it is, but that's the only reason they're allowed to use the IRS and tax our asses back to the fucking Stone Age.
We're
No,
already
it's
we're
not.
already paying them enough money. We don't need more of them.
So,
No, it's
well, no.
not.
The point is, we're not represented, so we shouldn't be getting taxed
You
right now.
are represented.
No, we're not. Not
Yes,
by
you
the
are.
laws they came up with. By the laws they came up with, we are not getting represented the way we should, and so we shouldn't be getting taxed. That's it. Period.
Oh my God. You have your elected officials that represent you. They
You do not
not
have the proper representation. You don't.
do, though.
Not according to their laws that they wrote, that they came up with. All right. We do not.
that
We should actually have like
Okay,
6,700
hold on,
people
hold on.
up there, somewhere around there, and we don't.
I kind of
Yeah,
agree
well,
with where he's coming
a
from.
lot more
He's
can get
not.
done.
Hold on. He's not technically wrong.
They're
But
all about technicality too. You know.
Okay, I hear you, but the reason they didn't extend them, they increased the number of people each representative represents, is because if you've got 6,000 tyrants 1,000 mile away,
I know. I don't disagree with what you're about to say either. I understand. I'm just saying, like, the way that they're all about holding us to the letter of the law as the people and the citizens, right? And they have the letter of the law saying something where we shouldn't be getting taxed because they're not representing us right, and yet they're getting away with it, and they're fucking taxing us into poverty.
So you feel like putting more of them into
No,
that position?
I don't. I feel like taking less taxes on would be fucking awesome. I don't.
We're not.
People
This is
into that
one sec,
position.
to clarify for Brick.
Oh my God.
We're not making a prescriptive claim. We're making a descriptive claim. We're saying what is, not what ought.
Prescriptive claim is abolish the IRS.
We move to
Fuck
the
that shit.
Yeah.
I need
Anarcho-capitalism, baby.
I
If
need
it is
to
such that
address
we are
this.
moving towards this this national socialist, what should we do differently? And what should we change?
Anarcho-capitalism.
Getting rid of
Look at Argentina.
taxes would be great, but in terms of the practical landscape that we live in,
Yeah.
what is it that you're
look
actively
to
calling for?
look to Argentina. If you want to like see like what my worldview or my politics, look to Argentina.
In terms
Anarcho-capitalism.
of
I'm not
in
saying
terms-
that's the final goal. I'm saying that's where we need to start push towards. That's the direct counter towards this. But at the moment, like I said, there's an outside threat. But I won't even get into that because that was just derail the
United
conversation. again.
States-
Specifically, though, like
The
Argentina,
United States of America is not moving towards National Socialists because that's not a thing. National Socialists.
Oh, so 19, Germany never happened. Germany. This is the Australian meme. Australia's not a country.
I'm not done.
Yahtzee Germany is not actually a country.
Chocolate cast
yeah.
never happened. Did the chocolate cast never happen?
National
Is
Socialists.
that what you're
is
saying?
the
The
name-
4 million people or whatever it was that were
National
killed in the
Socialist is the name
chocolate
of a
cast that
political
never happened?
party in 1920s
Nazism
and
didn't
30s
happen?
Germany.
Like
Cleaners
what?
make-
I don't know what
Now-
the fuck we just
now-
debated, Sarah, because apparently what we debated doesn't
Yeah,
exist.
you all debated nonsense the entire time because you don't even know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah, evidently so, yeah.
History.
There's literally
I just blacked out for the past 3 hours. I don't even know what the fuck we're doing. What's my name?
What you were saying
literally
this
one.
entire time, you were saying this entire time is that the United States of America is moving towards a political party that existed.
Okay, Dave. If
Yeah.
there's a system where the only two options are nationalism or socialism, how would you describe that system?
opposition, Terry.
That is
Depends
not
on a lot of
true.
other
I
things.
reject
The
that
fact that
premise.
it's
I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying, what would you call that system? I'm not saying that America is a system. I'm just saying this is hypothetically there is a system here. There's a system. What would you call that system?
Not dictate that that's what.
What would you call that system, Dave? What would you call that system?
False equivalence.
Let him answer.
No,
Let
it's
him
not
answer.
false equivalency. He's
Everybody
giving you
shut the fuck up and let him answer.
a question.
In
Come
what
on, Dave.
context are you talking about these two choices?
It's a system. You have two choices politically, either nationalism or socialism. How would you describe that system?
Work?
What-
How does the
what-
military
no, no, no,
work? How does
what-
the government
How would you
work?
describe that
Is there a
system?
Parliament.
What do you
Answer
think
the
are
question,
relevant
Dave.
system?
You're asking
Answer the question.
question
The
that
system
does not
where
make
your
sense.
only two options politically are nationalism or socialism.
Are you talking
How would you
about
describe that
democratic
system?
system?
That's
Are you
like
democratic?
asking.
How would
there's
you
a
how would you
country
describe?
where
Can you
there's
answer the
black
question,
Jesus,
Dave?
Shut up for a moment.
Can you answer the question, Dave?
Please shut up. I'm trying to answer.
Can you answer the
I'm trying to
question?
talk- What system are you talking about? Because
The system where your only two
what
options
system-
politically.
What system is
Yeah,
offering
your only
these
two options. Yeah, your only two options are nationalism or socialism.
He's giving you a hypothetical, and in this hypothetical, you have
hypothetical-
How would you describe?
nationalism or
Yeah, how would you
socialism,
describe the system?
and that's
It's
it.
called
Are you
feudalism.
just talking
Would you?
about
Would it be fair to call this system a national socialist system?
No, it's called
No.
feudalism. If
No.
there's two options.
No, it,
Yeah, okay.
it doesn't
So,
make, it
so
doesn't
how would you call the system?
Can I
What would
give
you
you a
call the system
parallel?
then?
Can I give you a
If it's
parallel?
not national socialism, what is the system?
I want
Answer the question,
I
Dave.
want a system here. They're just giving me two choices.
Do you see
Are
the
you-
way?
are you asking me-
Yeah.
you
It's called a
asking me-
hypothetical, Dave.
Are you-
Well,
This message is sponsored in part by.
Sarah,
Here's what
I
you're
swear
asking. Can I answer
you're
the
gonna
question?
push me
Stop.
into
Here's what you're
degeneracy.
asking me.
Stop,
Am I
stop,
choosing?
stop. I'm just going to make this very clear to the chat. You still have 2 more goals to go, and I am raising my salary for babysitting for this evening. So even after that goal is complete, I'm going to raise another one because fuck this shit. Okay.
You're welcome.
Can I make one final point?
Dave,
and
how
then
would you
guys
how would
can
you
go
describe
back?
that system?
Is it that you haven't given me a system yet? is
I have a system where the only two options are nationalism or
all
socialism.
you're
How would
doing
you
is
describe
giving me
that?
two choices: nationalism or socialism. There's no
Yes, it's called a
system here.
hypothetical.
There's no system
It's called a
here.
hypothetical.
What do you mean? What's giving me the choice?
Politically, where one party only advocates for socialism, the other party only advocates for nationalist
That's not
policies.
what happens.
How would you
Okay,
how would you describe?
so
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. What is? I'm giving a hypothetical.
Oh my
How would you
God.
describe that
It's a
system?
hypothetical that's not based in the
How would you
situation. It's
describe
not-
it? Because the critique is the words that I use. So I'd say, how would you describe this system?
You're begging
I
the
would-
If
question.
you saw this
I would
system in
consider
play,
that
how would you
system
describe it?
enough
What the
to
two
describe
parties
it. Consider that
themselves
Yeah,
system
exactly. You
adequate.
won't answer
Yeah.
the question.
He's-
So you have the
No,
critique
I'm
of the words that I
answering your
use,
question.
but you actually don't have a
He was
way to phrase it yourself.
I know what you want.
Yeah.
You think that the answer is National Socialism, right?
No, I actually don't. I'm vehemently
You think the
against National
answer is-
Socialism.
No,
So,
no,
so,
no, no.
so see what you've done.
No,
You just
no,
made an
no.
assumption.
No,
you just
you-
made an
no,
ass
you-
out of you and me, my friend. Okay?
You
So
just
don't
gave
assume
me-
shit.
You just gave me a hypothetical, and I asked you what your
Yes,
answer to it
a
is.
system where there is only two options of nationalism and socialism.
And
What would you
is
call
your
that
answer?
system?
your
National
answer?
socialism. That would be.
Okay.
I'd call that national
That is not-
socialism.
if one political party, let's say
Mhm.
the system is a democratic system.
Yes.
Let's say with two parties, and one party's platform is pro-nationalist, the other's
Yes.
party platform is pro-socialist.
Hallelujah. Let's do this, baby.
That is
Mhm.
not national socialism. That is
Okay.
That is a
What is it?
that is a very, very deep ideological divide between two political parties.
Yes.
in
And
a
what would you
country.
call it?
I would call
What would
it
you call it?
democracy. I would call it a democracy that is
With
forced to choose between.
but that divide. Okay. What is that like? What is that system?
Democracy. That's what it is.
Yeah, but what you've done is like I've asked you the hypothetical in terms of the two political ideologies that are choice you have at the voter box, either nationalism or socialism.
Yeah.
And you're saying it's like, okay, we're doing this in democracy, and all you're saying is like, well, I just call it democracy.
That would be.
But you're not addressing the actual political ideologies that I'm putting on the table. You're not addressing the hypothetical.
The ideologies. I am.
Because again, bear in mind, I'm saying that it's like the way I'd simplify this down is saying if the only two options I have is nationalism and socialism, I'd call that a national socialism system.
It's
yes.
not a
Now, if you have a different word, if you want to call it a fascist socialist system, I'm okay with that. I don't give a fuck what you want to call it. People call it like
makes
the
even less sense.
the goofy ideology. I don't give a fuck what you call it. Like I said,
not-
philosophy
not
A
how-
is what I
this
could
is
say
not
you could call
how-
it. Yeah.
This is not how we describe like the system that brings you
So
to the
so
ballot box.
the criticism that left. Are you left wing? Like where do you stand politically?
Roughly, more or less.
Left wing, yeah.
Yeah.
So is not the critique that all this like MAGA base and all this stuff that they're Yahtzees, that this is fascism?
It's fascism. That there's a fascist bent in the Republican
yeah.
Party.
And what leader did Trump get compared to, and what do they call
He's
them?
compared to Hitler quite often, doesn't he?
Yes. So and what ideology governed that thing?
Fascism?
Which was National Socialism, correct?
No.
Okay, so
Fascism
Nazi
is not
Germany.
National Socialism.
No. Nazi Germany. Hitler didn't have
Nazi Germany.
National Socialism,
Fascist. Yes.
and it was National Socialist.
National Socialist was part of the name of the political party.
Okay, that even suits my argument better again, because then you're conceding here that National Socialist doesn't equal Nazi. National Socialist equals the political ideology.
No. I literally.
You just done that, my friend. You just stood in it.
Did you
Yes,
listen
you
to me
activated
at
my
all?
trap card. Mirror Force, bitch.
Oh my God! National Socialist is
Yeah.
one half of the name of the Nazi Party,
Yes.
right?
And the rest of it is
Or the
German
Yahtzee
Workers' Party.
I apologize. Apparently, Yahtzee is what I have to say. The Yahtzee Party.
Yeah.
Not Yahtzeism, right? Yahtzeism
Yes.
is fascist.
And yes.
Fascism is
Yes.
not a mix of nationalist ideology.
Yes, but Germany
and
was National
socialist
Socialist.
ideology.
Yeah,
It's not that.
Germany's was National Socialist, though, correct?
It was under the rule of the Nazi Party. Yes,
Yes, and it was National Socialist, correct?
it was fascist.
Yes. Do you see the way you're
not
avoiding? You're even avoiding saying these
National-
words. But you know
National
what? You know what this is,
socialism
Dave?
is not an idea.
Dave. Listen to me, Dave. Listen to me, right? Like I know you think that I'm some conservative, like Andrew Wilson, soy, but all this kind of shit, right? But listen
you
to me.
don't know what you're
The mere
talking
fact, the mere fact that you cannot even say National Socialist is like what I'm
have
pointing to
been
here is
saying-
control words. Yeah.
I've been
No.
saying
You've been
what
saying
I'm talking
fascist.
about.
You've been avoiding it and saying fascist instead of National Socialist. But if you were just to say like, right, if we're to believe the left wing, all this MAGA base is that Nazi 1930s Germany, correct? It's that fascist, yeah, correct?
It's fascist. It's not literally.
Yes, but it's that 1930s Germany, yeah. Nick Fuentes, all the kind of shit, and you would concede that is National Socialism. Alhamdulillah, we finally got there.
Okay, so
No,
Terry, I
nationalism
hate to
is
break
not
your whole theory here
National
of the two parties of nationalism and socialism, but nationalism is actually a term created for all parties when they are supporting their country in the economic or military or prosperous growth of their country. So the left side are nationalists, the right side are nationalists. Matter of fact, every party is nationalist, and they believe
Everybody gets a nationalism.
You've taken something that every party believes.
No, you went
in.
Oprah, bro.
You split
You're
it off
bringing
into
Oprah into this.
Nationalism as a political
So how does that
ideology
work?
party.
How does that work, Teriak? How does that work?
Nationalism as
Yes,
a political ideology
I
came
guess
about.
Dave is called Teriak now.
Go
ahead, Dave.
It came about
Slay Queen.
after World War One.
I'm just gonna read these.
No,
Thanks
nationalism
to
came
Kiki
apart
Cat.
in part
You
of the
guys
French
had
Revolution.
your wonderful speed date. Thank you for sponsoring that miraculous level of stupidity. Nuke sends a big 7 just to hit the goal, but I said fuck all of you, and Rocky sent money to hit the new goal too, but fuck all of you. This is babysitter funds at this point. I'm almost disturbed. I am highly disturbed at all of you. This is absolutely redonkulous. Kissy Cat sending the Big 10 to say goofy fallacy, potato fallacy, tomato fallacy, dipshit fallacy. We're all over the place with fallacies. I don't even fucking care at this point. Nuke says with the Big 15, come on, guys, it's for the children. Please think of the children. It's for the kids. These fuckers up here that need a babysitter because they're just absolutely fucking tards. And Kissy Cat says, tonight is very wordy. Word fallacy. And this entire debate is about the game Yahtzee. So I don't know why anybody's even upset.
Yeah,
because Dave's sitting here like doing cognitive dissonance because like as a left winger he's been like shouting saying half the country is Yahtzee, and then I come along in the debate and say they're Yahtzee, and now he has to go, well no, they're technically not Yahtzee when you think about it. Do you know what I'm saying? The cognitive dissonance there is beautiful. This is like peak
Eric,
content.
you're trying to smush two things that are diametrically opposed together.
Just out of curiosity.
Eric, have you ever heard of my favorite?
People do that all the time.
Ice cream flavor is when you put a scoop of chocolate and a scoop of vanilla, and it stops being chocolate or vanilla, and it becomes chocolate vanilla ice cream.
Yes. Yes. Why would you describe the system?
Why is that not?
Okay,
exactly
Jesus.
Your point?
I love this.
Okay,
Hold on.
Jesus.
I love this. Wicked Wally says, Sarah, I'm impressed. You got a lot of heavy hitters tonight. Too bad they're all hitting pipes. Shout out to you for the call out, Wicked Wally. Amen.
Yeah.
So this whole
Okay,
debate
Jesus,
felt like
how
to
would
me
you
like
describe
when
the
I was
system?
growing up in high school, and I remember this one libertarian guy being like, if you go read the Communist Manifesto, man, there's 10 planks of communism, and the 10th one says we're going to have some public education in communism, so America is communist, right? That's how it feels right now, because you're just like, well,
it's
look at
not
this
been
one
like that at all.
random thing, and it's communist, right? So I
like
think
I said,
you're also
half the country
forgetting
was accused and the other half the country of being Yazidis.
You're also
Cheriak,
forgetting
what you're
historically
doing,
speaking,
what you're
that
doing,
the term
I'll
national
just point out there's a ball
socialism
game
is
played.
formed as a counterpoint to international
Yeah, how about you shave that
socialism. So
mustache?
you have proletarian internationalism or
You should shave
international
your dirt away,
socialism,
bro.
and then the fascists come along and
Yeah.
say, no, we want to be national socialists, doing things for our nation. It doesn't mean we're just mashing
Yeah,
together
he's a
nationalism
ball game
and
played,
socialism.
yeah.
It's just it's absurd. It's absurd. It's been
Like
very
when you've had Trump, who's just like
Absolutely
national
absurd. The fact that Kissy Cat knows that the panel is the Oprah of nationalism. You get a nationalism, and you get a nationalism. Everybody fucking gets a nationalism. It's just like candy, just handing it out.
And thank you for following.
Eric, what you're trying to do is say, okay, here's a dog. He's got 4 legs and a tail. How would you describe that dog? Well, it depends on
does he
other
bark
things.
or meow?
The things that you're presenting are not relevant to the question that you're asking. The fact that one party is more about nationalism, the other party is more about socialism,
okay, let's see
does
if you can
not mean
answer
that
it.
it's a
Jesus.
nationalist socialist
Okay,
country. Do you
okay,
agree or
yeah.
disagree with that?
How would you describe
Do you
the system?
agree or disagree with that?
You haven't.
Well, what's the question?
Ask your question again. He was interrupting
Sorry.
you.
Yeah, sorry.
He couldn't
Sorry, I was
hear you. He was
interrupting you, yeah, sorry.
interrupting you. You're going to have to
I'll
ask your
say it
question
again.
again.
I can say it again.
Please do.
Yeah, go ahead.
So
Go ahead.
if I say, okay, there's a dog. He's got 4 legs and 1 tail. How do you describe that dog?
4 legs, 1 tail.
How do you describe their dog?
4
It's
legs,
an
1 tail.
animal. It's an animal with 4 legs and a tail.
4 legs, 1 tail.
Dog.
It's a dog with
It's
4
a
legs, 1 tail.
Why not a but
I mean,
it's a
yeah.
chihuahua.
Yeah. So what's wrong with describing like that? Because like I said, if it's a national socialist system, then it's a national socialist system. A
You
equals A.
understand that by
How would
saying
you do it
dog
now?
has
Wait,
4
one sec,
legs and a
Jesus.
tail does
One
not
sec,
tell you anything
Jesus.
about what kind of dog that
Answer
is.
my question
In
now.
the
You answer
same
my
way
question.
that
Answer my
saying
question.
One party is
Are you
about
able to answer my
nationalism
question?
and one party is
Are you
about
afraid?
socialism doesn't say anything
Yeah.
about what type of country
Yeah,
we have.
can you answer my question?
Same.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Can you answer my question? How would you describe a system that only offers you nationalism and socialism?
It's
How,
tribalist
like,
society.
give me the word and I'll use that word. Honestly,
Tribalist
I'm being good
Alright.
bait there. Give me the word and I'll use the word.
I have been
Demonize the
I have
word
been paid.
nationalist.
I have been paid to go make a coffee. I'm gonna go make a coffee, and I'm gonna leave you guys all to yourselves for the next, I don't know, 5
Let's
to
go.
7 minutes.
What is useful?
Enjoy the
This is
brain
what's
break.
You've not
mind-boggling.
presented enough information to
I'll be
answer
back.
the question that
Oh
you
my
are
God.
asking.
Yes.
Yes. So
Yes.
can you answer the question?
No.
How would
because
you
don't
describe
give
the
us enough
system?
No, I
information.
cannot answer
What
the
word would you use to describe that system?
information.
You haven't even
You
given
see
us
the way
a
you
system
kind
to
of
describe.
I answered your question, but you kind of answer mine. Do you see how retarded you sound?
Giving two different
Question
parties
doesn't fucking make any
ideologies
sense. My
doesn't
question
tell you
makes
the
sense.
system.
That's why you can answer it. Ask me a question that makes sense, and I'll answer
I
it.
asked you the same question.
Terry,
You said
Okay.
you said
It would be
there is a
called-
dog
it
with
would
4
be-
legs, 1 tail. How would you describe the dog? I said
Terry, I
the
can't
dog
answer.
had a dog with
Terry,
4 legs, 1 tail. I answered your question.
Let me-
Will you answer my
answer
question?
it.
What word would you use to describe a system that only
tribalist-
gives you nationalism and socialism?
tribalist
What
society.
word would you use to describe that,
It's
Jesus?
American.
tribalist society.
There
Two
you go.
options.
American.
Tribalist society.
Do you see the way you can't think of a word? Do you see the way you don't have a word?
What if I just
You see
take
the way
the
you don't have a
names of
word?
all of the parties in the
Keep
European
swerving.
nation
Keep swerving.
and match them
But you
all
see the way you don't
together?
have a word.
Your question.
You see the way you don't have a word?
Bad question.
Yeah,
wanna
all
say
this
one
prattle,
Let me
all
say
this prattle.
one
But you,
thing.
do you know what you don't have? You don't have a fucking word.
Kleptocracy.
Because you know what? You know how you describe that? You'd say that's National Socialism. Yeah, that's how you describe it.
That's
And like I said, if you want to say fascist socialism, I'll go with fascist socialism. I don't give a fuck what way you describe it.
That also does not mean
That does not compute.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah, like I said, I don't give a fuck what way you call it, but that's the way the country's going.
Yahtzee,
And you all agreed saying it's like, yeah, we're heading in that direction.
Terry comes back.
In a
She's gonna
two-party system, or
throw
one party
tomatoes
is
at you guys.
mostly about socialism, and the other
demonize
party is
the
mostly about
word
nationalism.
nationalism.
That's what you're trying to say.
Rocky, like for
is
once, like
not-
Rocky might have something important to say. Rocky,
Yeah,
what are you saying?
I was saying one of the purposes of the Yahtzee war was to demonize the word nationalism.
Mm-hmm.
No, it wasn't.
Nationalism in its own is not bad.
Yes,
It's
it is.
what's
Yeah.
after the word national. If it's national, like national Christian, a national Christian would be a good national
I'll be hold
identity. or
Christian
something.
nationalism sucks.
Yeah,
fuck
hold the horses
you.
here, Rocky.
I think
You
secular
lost me.
government is awesome because all
Anyway,
kinds of
what I'm
Yeah,
saying is
discriminated.
Plane's crashing here,
nationalism
Rocky.
in its own is not wrong.
True. That is
Terry's
true.
off
Yes,
the
it
next.
is.
What's the next word? National Socialist, Nationalist,
We're not even to the point of
Public, or
evaluating it
whatever
like
your
this, though,
nation
right?
wants to.
You- Help me, please.
Oh god.
We're not even at the point of
Anyway,
evaluating whether or not nationalism is good. We're just talking about what it would mean to be nationalist or socialist.
How else?
or both.
How else you
And-
gonna
and
bind a
hold on,
group of
hold on.
people?
Let me
Fuck
speak
off.
for
It's
just
either
a second.
nation or
Let me
religion.
speak for just a second, bud.
call it?
Let me
How
speak
would
for
We
just a
are
second, because
basically
you're
in
fixating-
America national socialist.
There needs to be some
You are-
ideology that
how
binds
would
these
you
group of
describe it?
people.
Yeah,
Well, if
no,
you'd allow
hold on.
somebody to
What-
say
what-
something
what
there,
other way-
Teriyaki,
I'll
maybe
answer
they
your
could
question,
explain
Teriyaki,
it
and
to
I'll
you.
tell you what I'll call that system, right? So you're fixating on the ideologies of the two major
Okay.
parties. That doesn't tell us anything about the institutions, the electoral system, the constitution, anything else in the background, right? So even if I concede that the only two options are one party is exclusively nationalist, one party is exclusively socialist, that doesn't make it a national socialist system because we have a system that transcends those parties. Those parties can live and die
That's
tomorrow.
not
The
the question.
platforms can
I'm-
change.
I-
It is the
I-
question. It is
listen.
because you're confusing the
No,
ideology of the
I'm even willing to
politician standing in
concede.
front of you
I'm
with
willing
the
to concede.
institutions.
Yeah.
They're not the
I'm
same.
I'm willing to concede. If you listen to my argument, I'm willing to concede that yes, okay, maybe I'm describing it wrong. What word would you use? And
We can
every
have, we
single
can
one
have
of
an
these keep
electoral
running.
democracy
Enough
where the two
information.
major competing ideologies
Yeah, you're
are
bringing
those
other shit
systems,
into
right?
it. Yeah.
That's it. That's what
Given
we
those
have.
variables, like I said,
No.
it's pretty clear.
Hell, I can
And
call
I
it
say,
my
well,
aunt. I can
you're
call
You're
it my
given the
uncle.
choice between two things.
We're talking about a
Yeah,
chihuahua.
like that's the two ways to describe. Those are the two options you have at the ballot box:
You say, okay,
nationalism
well,
or socialism.
Sure.
You still need more information. one party
it
being
blue
socialist
cheese, I
and
could
one
call
party
it a
being
potato.
nationalist.
Of
Not
course
giving
that's
enough
it.
Make it a
information to
potato.
determine
Of course.
what type of country
The-
that
is
is.
the entirety of tonight just a weird fucking word game?
Yeah.
So you can be like,
because this guy just
Yeah, no, like I said, if you have a better word,
National
I've
Socialist
conceded.
is-
If you have a better word to describe
Is
this, then yeah,
tribalism a better
I'm all
word?
aboard. Let's use that
You
word.
know,
Is tribalism a better word?
I can't even disagree with what Effigy's saying
Eric,
here. Like, really,
Kurt,
it does seem to
Eric,
be like
Eric.
we're
Eric,
just
you
trying
taking
to
on a
come up
stick?
with this shit to describe something. But I mean, that is what people do. We do try to come up with words that describe what it is that we're talking about. And I think he's trying to come up with the best explanation he can for what he's seeing.
Tribalism.
So what's
You know?
useful about calling it
Tribalism.
National Socialism, right?
That's all it
Because
is.
y'all went through the 25
Well-
planks earlier, right? Those are the 25 planks of the actual Yahtzee platform.
Because
right?
it's a point
Well,
of
there are no
There are no
unification.
comparisons
Because-
between at
because
least
it's a
half
point
of
of
those and what's going on in
unification.
America. What's useful, right? So I can look at
Because
Europe
it's-
right now,
yeah.
and there are
what's
nationalist parties in
useful
Europe,
about-
and there are
hold
policies
on,
that they have.
hold
that
on,
you call
hold on. You
socialist.
asked
Are
a
they
question.
national
I'm trying to
socialists?
answer it. You
Yeah,
asked a question. I'm
point
trying
of
to answer. So,
unification.
yeah, but you don't even let him finish.
well, he asked a very pointed question and then added a whole bunch more stuff to it to ask a second question, and
Well,
that's
that's more
fine.
like a clarification of the question, but yeah, answer it. I'd love to.
Right, but I get what you're asking, and the reason that we kind of come to national socialism is because it's a portion of nationalism, it's a portion of socialism that's creating this one ideology that we did see in
No.
history.
No,
That's
no,
that's
no,
all that-
no,
That's
no,
how
no,
you're
no.
using it, that's fine.
Is an
That's how
instrument,
you're
not a
using it.
mix of the two. The
Yeah,
whole fucking
okay,
name
okay.
is a
Is
cipher.
effigy
for an
is Trump the second
ultra-
coming? Is Trump the
I'm telling
second
you
coming
what
of
I
Adolf?
was doing, Effigy.
Guys,
You can't
check
say
me out
no
live
because
every Monday,
that's
Wednesday,
what I'm
Friday,
doing.
8 p.m. Eastern. This conversation is too retarded. Thank you so very much. I am out of here. Peace.
I just
But-
if I look
Yeah.
at
Anybody point in
One second,
history
then we have
where
fun.
nationalism
He was
and socialism
projecting.
came
He
head
was-
to head and created national
Just saying,
socialism?
boys. I'm willing to
Can
be
you
the
give
punch
me one
bag,
point of
but
that
like
ever
for fuck's
happening in the
sake.
past?
But effigy was Trump not compared to being the second coming of Adolf? Was it not saying comparing that like his rallies were like
Somebody said
literally
it,
like
sure.
19 Did we not see
People
like the
have,
news
sure.
footage of them
Oh no,
playing?
I can compare
like,
all
this
kinds of
is-
right wing shit to fascism because fascism is right wing.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
And then how'd you get the other population? How'd you get your half population? That's socialism.
What do you mean? How do you get to the
that
other
grift?
half?
Because like these
first of
socialists
all,
never actually solve any problems. Like,
liberalism
all these
isn't
democratic cities are
socialism.
shitholes.
Actually, a lot of conservatism isn't nationalism.
Funny how that
What
works.
the fuck are you talking about anyway?
And like I said, half the country was calling the other half of the country literal Yahtzees. And all I'm pointing out was like, yeah, when you think about the ideologies, like that's all me and Cleaner are talking about. It's like if
What
you want
we
to call it a
call
different
each
word,
other is what we
invent
are.
a new word. I don't give
I'm
a fuck
sorry,
what
you
you
do
do with
have-
it. But
you
I'm
do
just pointing out. I'm
realize-
just calling a duck a duck.
You do realize
Where
the
are the
Democratic
internment
Party
camps?
is not socialist, right?
I mean,
Call
look,
America national communism.
look, the Democratic Party
Like, there's no-
pushes a lot of the socialist type mindset stuff.
No, it
So
doesn't.
no, it does. It
No,
does.
it doesn't
Healthcare,
at all.
Obamacare.
It does.
That's not
Redistribution
socialism.
of wealth.